But look at the functions I see here. They say, one, the commission shall have the following objectives.
Yes.
To enable and encourage non-governmental organizations and civil society to accomplish their mission according to the law.
Who is begging them? For example, you look at Section 24. If you look at Section 24, you will see that no civil society or non-governmental organization shall undertake, welfare, health, health, research, industry, agriculture, and all those things. If you see them there, Section 24, you will see all of the, unless the society, the organization is registered, otherwise it should be deemed to have been deregistered, and anybody, any defaulter, is liable to imprisonment for 18 months. So, I mean, that's taken over everywhere. And that's why I say it's over government.
I mean, in some of those reports, we had people saying they wanted self-regulation. But why did they have to wait this long until this bill came before they thought, okay, well, we needed to self-regulate?
No, what self-regulation?
They didn't want government regulation. They wanted...
Yes. Oh, yes. If there must be regulation, they will regulate themselves, not the government coming in. Otherwise, it will be governmental organization, not non-governmental organization. You see that? We must protect this democracy, must protect and not allow the ingress of authoritarianism or puritanism or autocracy or despotism. No, let government has not been able to do all that it should be doing. All these all these non-governmental organizations are into areas that governments are ill-equipped to step into.
So at the moment now, because if you look at the intentions, the objectives and functions of the commission on paper, yes, it does appear it helped guide so that they fulfill their purposes. But in context and looking at what he has highlighted, do you think this is not right? So how should it be? Should we throw the bill away or amend it such that we ensure that the bill now serves as a regulation but not as stringent or what, as you want?
Well, there is no need for this bill at all.
No need whatsoever?
No need at all, because you see, a similar bill was brought up, not similar, an identical bill. And what asks me is that, you see, the provisions of the bill I'm going to talk about, the provisions were lifted verbatim from an identical bill in Sierra Leone, which was popularly discredited and guillotined. You understand? Because there is no such a... If Sierra Leone can consider such a bill as obnoxious, why should it come to Nigeria? Why should some, legislators go to Sierra Leone to copy what had been discredited over there? You see, Nigeria is a democracy, and we must be governed by the rule of law and the due process of the law. We don't want a situation, government activities are there for them to undertake, and they have not completed.
How are NGOs regulated at the moment?
The NGOs are, I just told you that they are registered by the...
That's just registration?
Yeah, after registration, there is...
They have guidelines there too?
There are guidelines before registration, which they must comply with. There are guidelines. And anybody that is stepping out of that guideline, then the government can come in and then say, why are you doing this? But not that they should now regulate for...
Mr. Akiri, I really want you to... I would like you to look at, again, the possibility of the goodness in this bill.
Yes.
NGOs are registered by the CAC as it stands, right?
Yes.
You said the Constitution talks about the freedom of association.
Yes.
And this bill is threatening that.
Yes.
But all that the bill's asking for, let's look at, for instance, if and whenever an NGO obtains any funds from any quarters, national or international, according to this bill,
yes,
the NGO must not only disclose its sources of income, but render an account.
See?
Let's look at that part of their account. Let's look at the part of their account.
Yes.
Let's just agree with you that
yes,
the part of saying where they got their money from, that's not necessary. But let's look at the accountability, for instance. Saying that you must make a statement of account.
Yes.
How are you spending this money?
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you get these monies meant to take care of internally displaced persons,
yes.
but the money is diverted to personal gains.
Yes.
Wouldn't this help to stop that kind of attitude?
Now, but you see, why should the government come in at all? Now, is it government's money? So if I'm rich enough and then say I'm going to endow any association, any organization with an amount of money to carry out certain things for the benefit of the society, for the benefit of the community. Now, and I have given the money to you, and you know you belong to an organization which must have its authorities, its principal officers, its accountants, its auditors, probing into the whys and wherefores of certain expenditures. That organization I'm talking about must have its, the officials, auditors, accountants, and so on. And the money, I've given you the money, and you have not used it, you have not utilized the money for the purpose for which I had given it to you. Sure. It is the organization itself that will regulate itself, because inside that organization, we have accountants, we have, auditors, and so on, who audit all these things all the time. Why must the government come in now to probe how you spent the money that I have given to you as an individual, or the money that foreigners gave to me?
But we know that, times change and times have changed.
Yes.
And now that there are security concerns the world over, should government then look the other way if they feel the intention is to ensure that no one comes under the guise of an NGO and funds any group whatsoever to try and perhaps cause trouble in the country?
Yes, you see, the point is that the true position of things is that people have been talking of so much wealth in churches and in mosques and so on, and there is an opportunity they are trying to explore ways and means of taxing this thing. But because people have suggested, several times that all these churches must be taxed, must be subject to taxation, and so on. This is, a stealthy way to come in through the back door to tax all these churches and mosques and all civil organizations in order to have enough money to fund their budgets, to fund their budgets. So it's a big problem. They shouldn't do that. It shouldn't happen. This is the type of bill that should not see the light of day.
So what then happened? How groups, did they wake up rather late? How did they go through the first and the second reading and then get into this stage?
Well, like so many of the laws that are made in this country, people don't get to know. I just chanced on this bill, not as if it was published, but I just chanced on it and I read it. And it had an emetic effect on me. I nearly vomited. Why? The government coming into, non-governmental organization again, trying to governmentalize non-governmental organizations. You see? So it's only when the bill is published for public consumption and comments that you can now say, okay, this is the thing. By the time it went through the first reading, we didn't know, I didn't see the bill. It is now that it's in the committee stage that I got to see the bill.